Right on, fellas. Here we go. I'm doing a live broadcast for you, and this was all supposed to go to plan, but all fell to shit, I guess, or did it? Maybe this is just part of your resiliency training, like I just wrote in the comments. Who knows? Really? I guess only me. But Johnny, nice of you to join us, buddy. So I'm going to go over the basics of pre-course considerations for you guys that are going on course, assuming that you're going on course. I know GP is going on course very soon. And if you guys end up on selection as well for CP, obviously you'll be heading out eventually as well. So let's look over a few things, namely how to eat, how to sleep, and how to dial in your nutrition before you guys head out. And first things first, man. Let's freaking do this here. You guys are doing a hard job. I have to say, like, I miss the good shit. I miss the running and gunning. I miss the ranges. I basically miss everything that is fucking solid and good to go and high speed, but sleeping in the rain, no, I'm done, man. I'm so soft. Like, my feet are soft, my hands are soft. Like, even my mind is soft when it comes to this stuff. Like, I live in a house. I have a thermarest pillow. I don't deal well with this kind of stuff. I'd have to go into a dark place to get back there, but this is where you guys are at, so you've got to embrace the suck. So get used to being uncomfortable, and that's kind of why you've been training for so long, right? Just getting into that uncomfortable space. That's really important. So you got to harden up. And right before you go on course, that's kind of the point. But there's a dichotomy there, because you don't want to go too hard and then put yourself at a deficit. So let's just go over a few of the things that are kind of often neglected, but are critically important to make sure that you guys roll in on course just at like peak performance. So the three main things to consider, like I said before: training volume, nutrition, and sleep recovery. So the first thing we're going to look at is training volume. So a few key things, because a lot of you guys, and especially when you're younger, it's hard to take your foot off the gas. And so it's hard for you to dial it down. And with that being said, you want to make sure that you're well recovered before going into course, because the realities are, if you're going into, let's say, your leadership course or any kind of field course for that matter, you're going to lose anywhere between 5 to 10% of your body weight, and most of that is going to be water, glycogen, but also you're going to start losing fat tissue, and hopefully you're not losing muscle mass, but you are going to lose quite a bit of weight if you're in the field. So the point is going in well rested, well fed, and strong. 2 weeks before going into the field, you're not going to have any massive gains in cardiovascular endurance, strength, muscle endurance. So it's time to pump the brakes. You have what you have right now, so it's time to work with it. So 2 weeks out is basically easing off the gas. So therefore, you shouldn't be doing any 1 or 3 RM work, just because that's really taxing on your central nervous system and requires you to really kind of slow down and recover a lot, where you're already in kind of like a recovery mode. So don't tax the central nervous system out too much before you start going into that course. So the 1 and 3 RM work is really hard in the body. So make sure you just pull it back a little bit. So therefore, the 90 to 100% of capacity, like 30-second sprints on the Airdyne and sprints in general, and you're going to dial those back. We're not going to be working in that modality anymore, in that metabolic pathway. You're going to really be dialing it down, because we want to make sure, again, that central nervous system starts to calm down. You're going to be doing a lot of compound work and calisthenics. So you can do like thrusters, and again, you're going to be doing them a bit lighter. Calisthenics, so push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, always. And if you're doing any more than 4 sessions a week, you're going to dial that down to 3 to 4 per week, and no more than that. That doesn't include your range of motion work and your corrective therapy. So you gotta really make sure that those are really focused on. So if you got those tight areas, this is a really good time to really get those sorted out. And corrective therapy, meaning go to see your osteo, physio, whatever it may be. You guys are listening. Hey, do you guys have any questions right now? If you do, I can't hear you, but drop them in the comments. I'll go over them. No problems. So then week one before you go, or 1 week out before you go, that's when you really you don't need to be lifting weights at that point. You don't need to be doing deadlifts. You don't need to be doing clean and presses. Okay, you've got the strength that you're going to have going on course. A week of no strength training is not going to all of a sudden wipe out all your strength gains, as long as you're still training a little bit. So that's why calisthenics is really important. Keep on doing your push-ups, keep on doing your sit-ups, keep on doing your pull-ups. You go for runs, but you're going to be doing conditioning cardio. So kind of like a boxer before a fight, he's not going all out and doing sprints. There's a time and place for that. You're done with that. So 60 to 70% of capacity. So that's really just going for a jog. So sometimes that's just a regular PT jog pace on course. But you're going to be able to have a conversation. Basically, you're going to be able to be able to carry on say a few sentences while you're doing that cardio work. That's how you know you're in the 60 to 70% range. And again, 3 to 4 training sessions max is all you should be gunning for. And again, more of that mobility stuff, more of that range of motion stuff, and see those therapists. And if your hips or your glutes or your lats are bothering you, whatever it is, get it sorted now, because really you're heading on course. So you got to make sure that you have those kind of little issues taken care of before you go, because you're not going to have the time when you're on course. So that moves us into nutrition. If you guys have a question, feel free to just drop them into the comments on anything we've gone over. So as we move into nutrition, this is where if you guys are really dialing it in, this is where actually there's a few things you're gonna be like, what? So 2 weeks out, make sure you keep on hitting your macros. Like ideally, you want to go into a course, especially a field course, a good 10 pounds overweight. And that's just to accommodate for the 10 pounds that you'll likely lose when you're on course. And that extra weight is just an extra energy reserve, because it's basically glycogen. Glycogen is that energy molecule that your cells are able to use. Sorry, I'm burping like crazy. I'm drinking a Coors Light. It's the energy molecule that you guys really want to, that you guys are going to be using basically when you're on course, before you tap into that fat, those fat reserves. So the more you have it, the more energy you're going to have on those long range patrols. But consume your micros like crazy. So make sure that if you're not, hitting all your micronutrients, so your minerals and vitamins, make sure that they're topped up. Okay, so you're going to go into a phase when you're on base and you're doing your training where you're going to have really a shit diet. It's not going to be nearly as good as what you're doing at home. So you have to make sure that you at least you're going in with top-notch level nutrition. But there's, again, a dichotomy there as well, because we'll look at week one in a second. Additionally, hydrate. Like make sure that you're like well topped up on water. Just make sure you're getting your 2 to 3 liters a day minimum, so that your cells are well hydrated and you don't go into course in a dehydrated state, because you'll never catch up. And if you're taking anything like creatine or any other like thermoline or any of the weight gainers or pre-workout stuff, start weaning yourself off of that. Okay, so you don't need that in your system anymore, especially things like creatine. In really high stress situations, you can produce a lot of metabolic waste, which is called creatinine, and that can be hard on your kidneys, and we don't want that. So make sure you go off the creatine, stuff like that, because you're not in a mass gaining phase right now anyways, so there's no point for you taking anything like creatine right now. And lastly, you're 1 week out, you're going to be eating fucking dirty, guys. Like, get the Biggie Macs in you, hit Mackers, eat the fries, get the shakes, like go crazy, overconsume. This is going to kind of shock your intestines, and you're going to blow your ass out if you've been eating clean for the last few months. And that's the point. You're going to be in the field eating rations. So if you go and the first time you have something dirty is like, beef bourguignon, ration pack, you're going to be fucked up. So fuck yourself up at home, and your body will adapt to that dirtiness, that processed food. There's a lot of like MSG and extra salt and sodium glutamate and all these other things that your body just hasn't been used to processing. make sure you eat it. It's just the easiest way to get yourself ready for the demands that are not only physical, but they're also going to be nutritional, because you guys are used to eating a pretty clean diet and hitting your macros. So the point of over consuming is to also go in a little bit heavier. You're not going to put on like 6 or 7 pounds in a week, but you might put on a pound or two. And that's a good thing, because you know you're going to lose it. So you get that extra glycogen, maybe you get a little bit extra fat, but probably not. And then additionally, just keep on hydrating, hydrate. So this is the week where you really get to go all out. Like, you can take a picture and post like your most disgusting meals. I'd love to see it. Like, I remember once I went to McDonald's, and what I eat, it was like something like 3,500 to 4,000 calories. I had like 2 Big Macs. I threw in like a shake, bunch of fries, some chicken nuggies, like, and everything else that went with it. Like, it was just like, okay, I can do what I want. This is sweet. When you're in your 20s too, it's a lot easier to eat like a freaking gorilla than it is when you're in your 30s and 40s. So take advantage now, guys. And then lastly, we're looking at sleep, right? So sleep is your way to recover. If you guys are in any sort of sleep debt before going in, it's just going to compound itself. So you're going to end up with more and more and more sleep debt, because when you go on course, you're putting your body into this sleep debt that can last for months, if not years, if not addressed. And that's something that I only started realizing in the last few years. Like, I'm still kind of sleep deprived, and then I added a kid on top of that. And I just read an article that every kid you have adds like 6 years of sleep debt onto your life. So right now, like, I have one, and I'm going to be having another one in a few months. So, I can add another 6 years of sleep debt onto my God knows how many years, based on how many courses and a tour thrown on top of that. Like, the superpower of being able to fall asleep wherever, like, that's the infantry superpower. At least that's my superpower. That's not normal. Like, grandpas do that, right? That's a lifetime of freaking sleep debt, right? You're not supposed to just crash in your 30s, like, wherever you have like a spare moment where you're not doing anything. That's not normal. So if you're in that boat and you're kind of racking out, that's a signal that you need to catch up on sleep. You can't have a sleep credit. So you can't oversleep and your body's like, cool, I got extra hours in the bank. It doesn't work that way, but it does work as a debt. So you have to pay that debt back. And usually it's a 3-to-1 ratio. So normally the average person needs about 7 to 8 hours sleep. So let's take a conservative estimate and say, like, okay, you need 7 hours sleep. Well, let's say one night you only got 6 hours sleep. Well, that means you have an hour of sleep debt. That means you need 3 hours of extra sleep to catch that hour up. That doesn't mean you can do it all in one night, but it does mean that you can do it over the course of, let's say, a week. You can add a few naps. You can maybe sleep, go to bed an extra hour earlier. So that's the way you got to get it back. And it's a long process. So every time you go into sleep debt, it really takes a long time to get it back. And if you add up all the weeks of, sleep debt that you accrue over your entire career, so as soon as you start going to leadership courses, you're in the field for like 5 days, you're not sleeping. It's retarded. But you do it, and then you come back, you take the weekend off, and then you're back at her on the Monday. Well, just think, when you come back, you have to really take care of yourself to get yourself out of that sleep debt, but most don't. So that 1 week out, that's when you got to start sorting yourself out. So that 2 weeks out, you got to start sorting yourself out. So one good way to increase sleep quality is to stop looking at your cell phone past 2,000 hours. So that's going to be your challenge. It's not easy. I fucking have a super hard time doing that, because I'm super addicted to mine. So if you can, write it down, say, like, okay, I'm going to try it like on a Monday, and try to hammer it out at least 3 times a week, where you're not looking at your phone or your laptop or an iPad at least 2 hours before you go to bed. So therefore, going to bed at 2,200 hours is your goal, and then getting up early, 05 to 06 at the latest, which is essentially what I call one bad day. So you just need to suck it up and get up super early, because guess what? You're getting up fucking early, right? Course is coming. Get your hormones ready for it. 2 weeks is enough time to accommodate getting up early. So make sure it happens. Don't make your first day getting up at 05 your first day on course. It's just going to fuck you up for no reason. It's just because if you didn't have the discipline to get up at 5 when you're at home, that's on you. So sort yourself out. Make sure you get up early. Like, channel your inner Jocko. Just put something blaring in your room to get your ass up. Download his freaking iTunes alarm, which is my alarm. Drives my wife crazy, but he just yells at you. It's like, get up, stop being weak. If that's what it takes, do it. And like I said, nap every chance you get. So therefore, 1 week out, same thing. No electronics. TV apparently is fine according to the research, but electronics is the killer. And again, go to bed even earlier if you can. Like, this is like my dad time. This is like dodo time for me, 2100 to 2130 most nights. Give it a shot. The best way to make yourself nice and tired is get up really early, train hard that day. So in this 1 week out, you're doing a lot of calisthenics, and then go to bed nice and early, and try to keep that up for the entire week. And again, nap as much as possible. So those are just the big kind of boulders that you can be moving to put yourself in the right direction with respects to getting ready for course. And then lastly, going with the mantra. This is kind of important. A lot of guys don't even think about this, but it's kind of solidifying that whole hard to kill, or that whole idea of being fit to fight, whatever you want to call it. Just being resilient a lot of times requires a mantra, and a lot of if you look at like self-help gurus, they always have a mantra, but there's a reason for it, because psychologically it helps you get through shit. The infantry has them. When you're in pain, you're fucking dying. It's like weakness is pain is just weakness leaving the body, right? It's these are things that you say in the infantry, but the reason why they exist is because it helps you get through hard shit. So if you already want to use one of the cliche army ones, go right ahead, or you can just come up with your own. Like, I made up a few gay ones here, like never quit, succeed or die, crush it all. Whatever you guys want to do, just come up with one and incorporate it, and just you can say it over in your head over and over and over again, and it just helps you get through it, because it's going to get hard. And if you have something that you can at least hold on to a little bit, and you say it to yourself in your head, I mean, you can mutter it to yourself like in the barracks if you want, but they might think you're fucking crazy. Or you can turn it into like a morale thing, and if you got the personality to do it, fill your boots. But that's kind of the point of that. And then before you even go in, just make sure you visualize. So I think we do a lot of that with, figuring out like how your week went, and like, what are your wins of the week? What were your challenges? But essentially it's to get you reflective. So before you go in, think like, what is a successful course for me? Come up with your metrics. Some people go in, they don't even think twice about it, but really think about it. Like, do you expect to be like top candidate? And if so, like, how are you going to get there? Or are you going in to pass, which is fine, and to do the best you can, help out your buddies pass, whatever your is, you at least one. Sure, what you're going to at the end, because that's important. Like, you guys are doing courses that are fucking hard. 99.9% of humanity don't even consider doing these things. So don't just slough it off. I used to slough it off because like, yeah, whatever, it's just a leadership course, no big deal. No, it is a big deal. So make sure you take the time to actually give it that it, and is going to do great. I have a good feeling about that. So found this little me. It's actually, I thought I recognized the guy. I thought it was my buddy Matt, but this is for you guys that are going on course. You guys know all too well. This is the stark reality, man. Being wherever, and when in doubt, rock out. So, guys, I wish you all the best of luck. It's been just 20 minutes, man. Perfect. So I hope it's been useful for you guys. And if you guys have any questions, concerns, whatever it may be, and we'll go from there. So there you go, guys. Again, sorry about tonight. Freaking won't happen again. Got to get my ass sorted out. All right, guys. Have a great peace.